Hello, this is Reverend Dan Sire, and welcome back after a 3-month hiatus or so to another edition of Any Questions. And I'm doing this because it's Christmas today, and I thought I would just drop by and leave you a brief message about the stories of Christmas. Of course, this time of year, whether it be through a Christmas program or a sermon or television programs or whatever, we are bombarded with stories of Jesus. The familiar ones with the manger and shepherds and wise men and angels and all that kind of thing. But in reality, there are in the Bible, in the New Testament, two different stories of Jesus' birth. Of the four Gospels, Mark, the first one chronologically, has no birth story. It begins with Jesus being baptized. John, the fourth gospel chronologically, has no birth story and begins with the beginning of the world. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. That leaves us Matthew and Luke. They are the only two of the four gospels that have birth stories, and guess what? They're completely different birth stories. In Luke, probably the more familiar of the two, in Luke, Mary and Joseph live in Nazareth. They're called to Bethlehem through the census. There's no room in the inn. They end up in a stable. Jesus is born in a manger. There's angels and there's shepherds. However, in the story from Matthew, Mary and Joseph apparently live in Bethlehem. There's no shepherds, no angels, no manger, but there are wise men. And this is the story where Herod threatens all the infants in Bethlehem, so Mary and Joseph flee to Egypt. And then when they decide to return, it's still not safe to go back to Bethlehem, so instead they head for Nazareth, and that's where they settle, and that's where Jesus grows up. So at Christmas time, we typically jam these stories together, and it becomes, unfortunately, too often, in my opinion, kind of a fairy tale. However, I would submit to you on this Christmas day that these stories of Jesus' birth are more than a fairy tale. They are meaningful, significant stories, meaningful, significant, life-changing stories. They are a message of possibilities, a message of hope. For example, one of the stories tells us that Jesus was born in a manger, a feed trough. So maybe we can learn from this story that even those born into difficult circumstances, even those who have to deal with difficult circumstances in their lives, can overcome, can succeed, and maybe even change the world. And this includes you, too, by the way. This is an opportunity for hope. One of the stories tells us the shepherds, the lowliest rung of society, were the first to hear this story of Jesus' birth. So maybe we take away from that story that all people matter. That includes you, too. This is an opportunity for hope. And one of the stories tells us about the power of acceptance. The second group of people called to the scene of Jesus' birth were three guys who didn't look like Jesus or talk like Jesus or think like Jesus or believe like Jesus. Nevertheless, they were welcomed. They were given the opportunity for acceptance. So maybe in this world, all people can be welcome, and all people can be given the opportunity for acceptance. And this includes you too. A definite message of hope. So on this Christmas day, let us please remember that the stories of Jesus' birth are far more than some sort of fairy tale. A fairy tale that is very easily adaptable to a children's Christmas program. No, they are stories of significance stories with meaning, stories with life-changing possibilities. They are stories of hope. Hope knowing that opportunities are available even in circumstances where they may seem very unlikely. Hope knowing that all people matter just as you do. And hope understanding that all people are given the opportunity for acceptance just as you are. As we go into this new year, surrounded by what seems like all kinds of chaos and hopelessness, let us please remember that there are still possibilities for hope. Hope for you, hope for those you love, and hope for the world. Amen. Any questions? Merry Christmas.